What's up, Michael Hidalgo? Good, how are you? I am. Currently, the car's getting towed away for scrap, the V70.
As excited as we were to start tearing into the two Volvos, we thought it would be a disservice to not at least get some baseline stats on the 850 before its big overhaul. First things first, we wanted to see how much power a 300,000 mile, 25-year-old Volvo would put down to the wheels. So we emptied the car out, tossed it in the trailer, and headed down to our local dyno at the shop CT.
All right, again, this is another plus of a station wagon. You can just walk right through the back.
Corey, the only reason we're strapping it down is to protect the trailer, not the car, right?
Save that trailer.
Corey, how many Volvos have you strapped down? Zero. So one. This is your first one?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
It looks like we got some pretty serious cars here. We got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Supras. So they might be impressed with the Volvo. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm gonna say 100 horsepower, and if you make anything more, I'll be ecstatic and surprised.
111.
My original estimate was 120. I'm gonna knock it down to 105.
118.
123.
Wow, generous.
What do you think it's gonna make?
Not a lot.
It seemed like there was a lack of respect when asking estimated horsepower numbers from the guys at the shop. Not really sure why people had no faith, because I knew the old 850 still had some juice left in her.
$137, $155.
Holy crap! That makes a lot more power than I thought. Hey,
We made more on the second pull.
how much?
139.
Holy! I gotta do one more. It'll do 140.
That's way more than we were thinking.
I was thinking too, but I was off by a lot.
Is it worth doing the swap at this point? Should we just keep this engine? Car's running a little rough right now, but it still sounds all right. It's idling a little funny. Probably wasn't happy about that, but really, really surprising that this thing makes basically more power than it did when it was brand new, and it has 310,000 miles, and it's been 25 years. So, kind of shows Volvos make good cars. So, I'm definitely going to be hanging this up on my my fridge or something, and we'll be back here with the car all built up and see what happens. Yeah, I just want to thank our friends at the shop here for letting us use the dyno. They've got a lot of cool stuff here, as you can hear, so check them out. So one thing I just realized, this thing has snow tires on it, and apparently that's worth 10 horsepower. So the fact that this thing made 150 wheel horsepower technically, plus it had a jet battery, so there's more drain on the alternator. We put Cumberland Farms 87 octane in it. I mean, it probably could have made more power, but I'm more than happy with the results. I'm just saying, it probably would have made more power.
So, we have our baseline numbers, and we hope to beat those with a new built engine, but at least we know where things started. Next up is to see what this thing weighs.
Roselli guessed 4,000 pounds. He must be reading the gross vehicle weight, not the curb weight. $31.41. I said $31.50. Wow.
Alright, enough getting to know the 850. It's time to tear into these cars. First up is removing the built engine from the V70.
All right, Jacob, you ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
While these two engines are similar in that they are both naturally aspirated 2.4 liter 5 cylinders, the similarities kind of end there. The V70 engine is quite a different animal from the 850 engine. Volvo enthusiasts will know these as RN engines, with some main differences being drive-by-wire versus cable throttle, coilover plug versus distributor, the addition of variable valve timing, solid lifters, and many other revisions and improvements over the older 850 engine. This does present some complexity when swapping into the 850, and there isn't one specific way of doing the swap. We want to get the absolute most out of this built engine, so our plan is to retain as much of the RN improvements as possible, such as the coilover plugs and variable valve timing, but we will have to get clever with the wiring. After speaking to Aaron from Vast Tuning, we put together a game plan to use his modified M4.4 ECU that is capable of running variable valve timing and coilover plug. What makes this a bit more challenging is the fact that our donor car is an OBD1 LH3.2 car, not an M4.3 or 4.4 car. I'll need to hit the junkyard to find the wiring harnesses we need to do this conversion. Wish me luck.
All right, so the next step is we're going to lift the car up in the air a little bit. Jacob's gonna focus on getting the wheels off and getting the brake lines prepped to be dropped. I'm gonna focus on getting the exhaust disconnected and just kind of taking a peek at everything, making sure no wires are hanging in there that we're gonna rip out. After that, we're gonna roll a dolly under this thing and we're gonna start unbolting and get this engine out in a couple minutes.
We're just cutting things off here. I mean, how are we gonna put anything back in? Just cutting everything, cutting brake lines, fuel lines, clutch lines, just chopping it. It's like salvage yard style here.
Easy. So right here, I am disconnecting the steering coupler. So basically this is where the steering wheel attaches to the steering rack. So here's the bolt that holds it all together. See the Loctite on it. Extra safety from Volvo. And so the trick is to get like a screwdriver or a, something in there to open up the spline a little bit to allow it to breathe and allows it to slide off a little bit easier. They're always kind of a pain in the butt, depending on where they're located. This one's actually pretty easy, but. Don't slide out.
Oh, no.
No.
You were there.
I was there.
So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna disconnect the brake lines and we're gonna basically, so that everything is free, so that when we drop the whole subframe down, the brakes, suspension, everything is coming down with the engine. Once it's on the ground, we can start pulling everything off the subframe. Never cut somebody's brake lines before. Hopefully you guys haven't done that either. Wow, this thing's powerful. I probably look like an idiot. We have a lift and I'm lying on the ground.
That's the way it always works in shops.
Yeah. Pretty sweet. I'm just gonna take a break now.
All right, out. Let's do it.
All right, what?
I want to get this thing out by lunchtime.
Or what do you want to do now?
I'm getting hungry. I want you to get out from under there. Get your wrench ready.
How much you want me to turn?
That's good, like one turn's good. Yeah, so there's only a couple bolts holding this thing on right now. Basically the strut tower bolts, all the subframe bolts are loose. The subframe is resting on the skid. And the last thing we got to really kind of pay attention to is the steering coupler, because we can't disconnect it until we actually pull the subframe down, which is a bit of a juggle. So let's get these bolts off and let's get this thing out of here. We're gonna get floppy struts. One pulse up. Get my knees out of the way. All right, stop. Okay, go again. Sorry, did I hit your hand?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. You're good.
Pull the car out of the engine, basically. And there it is. Now I got to do the same thing with that car.
How's it feel? It's the first step in the project that you feel a little bit closer?
Feels closer, but also a lot further away too. It's
Add
great.
some camber. A little more negative camber on this thing. We're good.
There it is.
Got my front wheel drive racer. No, we got a mid-engine racer now.
It's rear engine.
I always wanted to do
We
that.
just put that in the back of, wait a minute.
I always wanted to do that.
Wait a minute, why don't we just put that in the back of that, leave the engine in the front of that?
I want to take a mid-engine setup like this and just literally put it in the back of the car and just call it.
Some guy, the guy that,
Our 4-episode series turned into a 16-episode series that never ends.
10-cylinder, 4-wheel drive, right? And it'll be rear biased because that makes more power than that, which is good, right? A little rear biased all-wheel drive.
Honorably stripped of all of its useful parts, it was time to say goodbye to the V70. Gone and never to return from its new destiny as a soda can, or whatever recycled goods it'll be made into.
It served us well. Goodbye. Your heart will live on. Your stickers will not be missed. Oh, shoot. Oh, no. Okay.
It was time to move on to the hero of this project, the 850.
All right, we got the car up on the lift. I've got Corey, our motorsports tech, helping me today. Our goal is to get the engine and drivetrain out of the car. We're dropping it out from the bottom just like we did on the other one. And we're gonna basically put it on the pallet jack, put it next to the new engine, and just start swapping parts over and get it assembled. Corey and I have made pretty good progress so far. We've got most of the things up top here done. We've got the shifter cables disconnected, the whole air box, all the vacuum lines out, the upper mounts disconnected. We got the ECU engine harness disconnected completely, fans out, the radiator we have to remove from underneath. Right now we're just figuring out what to do about the brake lines going into the ABS pump. Last time, Nate and I went a little heavy with the clippers and we were just cutting stuff because we didn't care. But this time we're not cutting anything, so we're gonna figure out which lines we have to disconnect from the ABS pump. Then we're gonna jack the car, bring the car back up and disconnect the exhaust and fuel lines, and should be coming out pretty soon.
Compared to the P2 V70, the 850 was quite a bit easier to work on. Turns out, we didn't have to remove any brake lines from the ABS pump after all. And after unbolting the front struts and subframe bolts, and a quick cut of an AC line we won't be needing anymore, the 850 was finally relieved of its old 300,000 mile heart. Coming up next for the 850 project, a surprise third subframe joins the party. We go custom on a new flywheel, and start disassembling the engines and transmissions, and begin Frankensteining things back together with a few special parts.
If you guys like this kind of build series, let us know. We'd like to hear from. Jeez, the closes are always so rough.